Ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to have Steve Day with me here today. Steve is a dear friend and somebody I resonate with most because he's a true salesman, an entrepreneur, and his life's taken him up and down, and I want to share some of those with you and what inspires him today to be so successful. Steve, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Glad
We've been we arranged this a few times, and laws of the universe, we had to keep cancelling until we saw today, right? It's usually today. Yeah. And today is going to be an interesting day because in about 16 minutes, the US stock market opens, and I predict, it's going to drop by at least 10%. So we're going to see a potential $1 trillion knocked off the stock today. So I've got O'Day here, who's keeping an eye on but knowing O'Day, in about 15 minutes, his battery will run out of his laptop, and right dead on 5:30, it'll be nothing happening. So welcome, my friend.
Thank you.
Welcome, my friend.
Thank you very much.
Just tell the audience a little bit about yourself, where you come from. You have to tell us your age, where you come from, and you've always been an entrepreneur. Just tell us a little bit about history. From the UK, just tell us a little bit about
Sure, yeah, no problem. Yeah, originally from the UK to south of England, came from a middle class background. Very fortunate to have recovered as a family through various aspects, but inherit along the way a wonderful stepfather who made my mum complete. I have one brother. We're a small family.
Are they still with us?
Yeah. My father's no longer with us, unfortunately. Well, not in body, but he's in soul. He's looking at us, and very much taking care of me. I have a brother who's 2 years younger than me. We're very close. We're blessed. There's no doubt about it. We're very lucky. Some brothers, some families, you find it tough to go through their journey. We're extremely well connected, and sometimes even know when each other's thoughts when distance is so far apart. Mum and my brother are both in the UK. I was supported very well. I joined the forces. The first thing I ever wanted to do when I left school. Found it wasn't exactly what it was supposed to be on the tin, as they say. And whilst I learnt an awful lot along the time that I was in there about self-discipline, being able to look after myself, pushing yourself into areas that you wouldn't, outside of your comfort zone, how to get over that 12-foot wall. I use that reference every day. The first hurdle they throw at you is getting 6 guys over a 12-foot wall. And I'm never the tallest, but I'm certainly not the shortest. And the logistics of that is a challenge in itself, but you have to do it. And as I say, I refer to that a lot in business because there's always a challenge. You've got to find a team and the right people around you to make it happen. Otherwise, you're just going to be you're effectively failing. Okay, you're going to learn as you go through the whole exercise, again and again and again, but it's about speed of processing, understanding the requirements, speed of processing what's needed, and delivering it. So I kind of use that mantra from the ages 16 to 18 now through to the age I am at the moment, and it's been good for me. I've been lucky enough throughout the chapters of my life to learn a lot. Academically, I wasn't the greatest, but I was a sponge for information. And as I progressed through, obviously, a complete career change. I'd only ever grown up wanting to be in the army, so I didn't know what else to do.
From how old to how old?
I was 16 to 18. I was in the army. That was it. So just really a youngster.
So you were a child, really?
Yeah, effectively. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you like to think you're more, and obviously the army mans you up. But yes, you are still only young. And to be thrown into Iraq and situations like that. So
you served in Iraq?
I didn't. No, I didn't. Yeah, but they were calling up at that time. It's just like, and obviously seeing the stories around the wars that have happened prior to that, and youth being called up, and various, other, even elderly guys, guys of my age going into war. It's just, certainly the more I've learned about it, I'm less a fan of it. It's not something that should be encouraged. There's ways to solve these kind of things. The world's a small place now. People are becoming more approachable. Once we take down the barriers of greed and religion and everything else,
and prejudice and ignorance.
Absolutely, ignorance is the biggest thing. It's one of the things. Again, when swallowing a few honesty pills today, it's one of the things that I came over here with, no doubt, and I called it island mentality. Even at my middle-aged time, coming into the region, I felt I was particularly racist.
Look at Brexit, right?
Yeah.
We all know it's the worst thing that could happen to England, to be standalone, and it'd be a lot more powerful to be part of the European Union, and still the island mentality was.
It is very much island mentality.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I had a deal this morning, exactly the same thing. And no extension of credit, whatever. Well, if you're going to continue to shrink your opportunity,
it's not going to happen.
By standing by Brexit, standing by your UK policies and everything, then there is going to be a restriction in the market. So, okay.
My personal opinion is that for 500 years, England taxed the world.
Mm-hmm.
Rightfully so. They invaded the place. I'm not saying they shouldn't have. And we taxed Canada, America, India, Australia. So although there's not much manufacturing left, there's a huge financial benefit to the UK because they have a lot of money. They have a lot of cash they're sitting on.
Absolutely.
Because they taxed all these richest countries. The
It's
Commonwealth.
still the strongest bank in the world.
Exactly.
About it. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think the whole of the UK, or majority of the UK, is just in London and the financial side of things.
Well, then you look at evolution. You look at the way that countries evolve. Industries evolve. The Industrial Revolution, UK was, the centre of the world for. Then, as industry changes, becomes services, various other, strengths and weaknesses from country to country. We're becoming a smaller place now. It makes businesses portal rather than natural businesses. And if we can unify the strengths of each of these countries, offering the same level of service, the same level of servicing the customer's requirements and giving customers exactly what they need, then it doesn't have
prosper.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody prospers.
Sure.
Because there are skill sets that some countries, as I say, Dubai is 50 years old. I know it's traditionally a lot older than that, but in the way that Dubai has evolved, it's 50 years old.
Again, it was under the British rule, wasn't it? Before that.
Yeah, and when you go all the way back to the evolution of, if I just say the last 150 years in London, there's 500 years there, since prior to the plague, and all the architecture and everything has been there for hundreds of years. It's a phenomenal journey that we're on. And the rate of knots that Dubai has come out of the sand is phenomenal. But
how long have you been in Dubai now?
15 years now.
From the army, do you go straight into being an entrepreneur? Oh.
No, I was an entrepreneur before I went in the army. Me and my brother had a car washing business. We were lucky enough to have a drive in and a drive out on the property that my mum and dad owned, and we literally put a board outside saying...
So you were trading from your house?
Car washes for £1, hand car washes, because everybody was using auto car washes then, for £1.
And they used to scratch the cars, right? So hand wash was much more trusted.
Literally every weekend we would just be... as a kid, the only way you could make money was paper rounds.
Sure.
I had 2 paper rounds that I'd get up at 5 o'clock in the morning for, close them out by 8 o'clock, and then people are then going to get their papers or their groceries or whatever at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we've got the car wash already set up.
Amazing.
Yeah, and making more
so
money. So
working hard, that's what you've always done.
Yes.
And you still do, right?
Yeah, you have.
Because I know you work your ass off every day.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I do. I'm not a fan of losing that life balance. I'm not going to say work-life balance because everybody says that, and it's.
But if you're passionate about what you do, there is no job,
exactly.
is there? There's no work.
You've got to enjoy what you're doing. Yeah, and life balance is, work is work, sleep is sleep. 2/3 of your day, a normal day, would be taken up by those 2 subjects.
True.
So then you have to look at, okay, so what is my balance? And with, the gig economy now as it is, rather than an employment economy, you can actually get up at 4 o'clock. I'm a morning person. I'm
What time do you wake up in the mornings?
5:30. Yeah.
And then what, do you have a routine? Does that come from your army times, or have you always been like that?
Yeah, because you get a yardstick across your legs at 5:30 in the morning if you're not up. So yeah.
So it's from the army times.
Yeah.
Wow, you've always been like that,
Always
even in
been a
your
morning.
20s,
Yep.
30s. Wow, amazing.
Yeah, never changed. Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah,
So that served you well. That discipline serves you well.
My business partners call me the Duracell bunny because first thing in the morning I'm 100% charged. Everybody's looking for their first, second, third cup of coffee and pondering how they're going to get through the day. I've already done a business plan and I'm on to the next subject kind of thing.
Yes.
I'm really alert in the mornings.
When you plan your day, do you plan what could go wrong also, or is it just positive, and you deal with the negative as it comes along? Or what kind of planning do you do for the day?
By nature I'm a positive person. I'm always looking for the positives in anything. And in fact, we had a brief discussion prior to this discussion that today was a day that is a day I prefer because it started off bad and then got good as the day went on. It's continuing to go good, and it was about solving the problems. There was a whole myriad of problems that were thrown at me this morning. School shutting down. What are we going to do with the education system now? What am I going to do with my child?
So it wasn't business related. It was just out the blue personal stuff.
No,
right?
this was.
And then it affects your business.
Before I've got into the office, and then the office is saying, this client's now decided he's going to pull out. We found out that he's given the LPO to another, one of our competitors. It was a big deal, Steve. You need to, address the client because obviously he's your client. And I said, yes, no problem. We've got to work through these things. What have we done? What have we not done to make him,
for the client to go somewhere else?
Absolutely right. And it turned out it was just a financial deal. I couldn't
match the price and everything.
I wasn't prepared. So you take it to the line, and then as you say, there's contingencies that you'd have in place already in your mind. You don't want to make them apparent because obviously if they're in the open space, then that by your body language or by whatever other means, you can end up making that an issue to closing the deal or even continuing your day. So
would you say that's your strength, selling?
Yeah.
Because you're not just selling products or services, so you're selling to your staff, you're selling the vision, you've got partners, investors, suppliers. Am I right? You're selling all the time.
Understanding, I think, is selling is something I'm natural. I've got within my DNA. There's no doubt of that. I enjoy selling. I'm passionate about selling. Understanding exactly what I sell is something that I am more focused on, because I've always you buy a car. And somebody will sell you a car and say it's got 4 wheels, it's got 4 seats, bonnet, nice shiny blue colour and white seats because that's what you really wanted. That's to me that's your average. That is 65% of your sales guy.
Yes.
Right.
There's a need. You fulfill it, tick the boxes.
And no disrespect to anybody in the room. Okay, they're just ticking boxes.
Exactly.
And it's like a multiple
order
choice question.
They're not salespeople. They're order taking.
Exactly. So, when I'm going to sell a car, I ask him, what do you want the car for? Is it for your passion? Is it for actually because you've just increased the size of your family? How old are your kids? All of that kind of stuff. So I'm getting right under
But here's the thing, before we go any further, you actually care about the answer, don't you? You're not, again, going through your checklist of questions. You're engaged, right?
I want the customer to go away happy.
Because you care about the client.
100%.
Yeah.
And exactly that. And I care about the fact that we
and
both
they feel that you
from
care.
it. Yeah.
Once they know that you care, trust builds, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And then they ask for your advice.
Yeah.
Rather than say, I'll take it, or this is what I want, take me to that car, right? Because when they ask for your advice, that means there's trust built.
Now, if I can go into the specifics of my role now, there would be, using that as an example, a customer would ring me and say, I've got a specification for ceilings because they're above us all, okay, and I need you to provide me that ceiling. And I'm going to say, okay, so what's your budget? He's going to go 25 dirhams a square metre. So, well, that gives you this options, that's it. If it's budget driven, If you want it to look fantastic like this with acoustic performances and with inbuilt lighting or whatever options, then we need to either look at how we can stretch your budget, or we're just going to have to accommodate what's the driver in this. So the driver isn't budget really, it's because I want it to look nice, but I'm trying to look at ways that I can save money. Okay, well, I don't just supply the ceiling, I supply the walls, I supply the floor, and I supply the furniture. What's most important to you? We could do a decorative ceiling if you're willing to. If you're only going to be sat in here one day a week, then there's no point in spending a lot of money on the seating, Rolls-Royce seating, Rolls-Royce furniture. If it's more important that you want acoustic performance, there's no echoes in the room, you can hear people clearly, all of that kind of stuff. So understanding the customer's requirements, and not just on one product, being able to work out how you can expand, where you can roll up, where you can cross-sell, all of these buzzwords that people tend to use.
So you educate your customers, right? You educate them, you get them to think outside the ceiling, right?
My
and think about the walls and the decor and the usage.
Well, you're just sowing seeds, because they're trusting their consultants to provide that information for them and get an understanding of their requirement.
Yeah.
Now, as an asset, my customers then look at me and say, well, actually, they always say this, and this is what I love about me and the way I am. They always say, we didn't know you could do that. We didn't know that you can offer that. We didn't know, because you never asked. You didn't trust me until I gave you a solution. Now you want to trust me on everything.
And the thing is, customers don't, do they? Because they have a requirement.
Especially here.
It's up to you as the consultant, not the seller, the consultant, to educate them and tell them about what you do. And that's why they love and trust you. That's why, again, we want to go through losing and gaining, yes? That's why very quickly you gain again. You get yourself back on your feet and you prosper, because you got that human connection. You care about your customers.
Yeah. And again, I was fortunate enough to have been given the role with a UK PLC. So I was fortunate enough to be given 3,000 brands, and I'm gonna, if we could swap seats, because we would be on, if we weren't on camera, I'd actually do this to you, right? Because role play is half the connection as well, right?
That's all we talk about. Role play. It's boring. It's boring. But you do it. And in the office, it costs nothing. Role play costs
2007, right, I sold everything in the UK to come over here because I believe this place was I got this. I'm a huge believer in my gut feeling. Okay, I sold everything. I had a successful business in the UK. 4 cars, 2 houses. Not quite as many cars, but I was in a good place. I just met my ex-wife, so again, personally, I was in a good place, and I'd secured a contract for Dubai Aluminium from the UK, having never been to see them, right? Because they were a very mechanical business, very specialist, and heavily cash supported by the government, Sheikh Mohammed's baby at the time. So, okay, great place to be as a salesman. And it wasn't Mickey Mouse, it was $3 million the first deal. So, I'm straight off the plate, okay? Better go and see what's going on in Dubai then. So, the business in the UK was a medium-sized business. So I thought, I'll give it a go. Jumped over here, sounded it out. Within 6 months, created the company, found a factory, off and going, and said to my girlfriend at the time, I'm off to Dubai. And she said, what about me? I went, you'll know it's the right thing to do, it just won't feel like it at the minute, right? Trust me, it's the right thing to do. We're going to do this together. Didn't go down, it wasn't as easy as that, but we were both on the plane, right? And then sold everything up in the UK to put down the money to set up the business here. 10 years later, we were at $187 million, right? And that was the first 3 years we were in a holding position because the company, the economy had crashed and nobody really knew what they were going to do. And I was running an industrial supplies business. So basically, 3 years in, economy's crashing, UK's wondering what they're going to do, the business is in a holding position. What happens from there? So okay, so I'm going to expand my portfolio. What am I going to do? I'm going to move all of the equipment to China. We're going to sell to China. All the stuff that you've actually had in your stable that's creating new revenue is going to China because it's where low-cost manufacturing is, and it's the right thing to do. Hurt me like hell because all of a sudden now I have got to go. I'm a survivor, and as a PLC I'm a statistic, right? And the most remotest statistic. So all of a sudden I've got to find a way that I've got to create revenue that keeps me in the lifestyle I'm accustomed to and allows me to grow personally.
How long
like
did you
I
have?
want to grow.
How long did you have?
I didn't even give me a time.
From 100, nearly 200 million to zero.
Yeah. So I'm then
Overnight.
stuck in the middle of nowhere. Right, here we go. We've pulled out. There's no financial support. We're collecting all our debts. You're at zero. I'm at ground zero. Okay, so what do? I actually rang my top 10 customers and I said, do I stay or do I go? And they went, no, you're staying. We need to give you some work, Steve. It's as simple as that. We need you here.
Because they trusted you, they liked you.
Because
And they
I've
weren't gonna
gone
let
through
you-
that first hurdle of doing the relationship. They now they use me as a consultant. I'm actually building another layer on my business now, which is consultancy, because I've been doing it for free as part of my offering. And I now need to monetize that because I can't keep doing that. You know, they're still getting the benefits of the downstream.
Well, I guess at the end of the day, you get benefit because when you advise, they buy your products, right?
It's win-win for me, of course.
Exactly.
I'm creating my own pipeline.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that was 3 years ago, yes?
Yeah.
And you built it up again.
Yeah, and we're back at 30 million. We closed out last year from zero, and pipeline is already 48 million for this year.
And people are talking about downtime. Steve's growing at 50% a year,
From 0 to 48 million.
Yeah, year on year.
Is that valuable? Is this valuable?
Right. And how many years? 13 years here, right? You've been here 13 years.
Yeah, 14. Yeah, 14.
So if somebody listens to you, they save themselves about $230 million and 14 years experience and pain sometimes.
Yeah, and along that way, as I say, I mean, I can't thank the PLC enough for giving me the opportunity to learn about so many products, 3,000 product lines. So when, as part of the consultants, as part of the PLC, they would come to me because we set up an impartial business here. Traditionally, unlike any other business here where they want to claim the exclusivity with the manufacturer and expect the sales to come to them, we turned it around the other way completely. I'm not going to be exclusive to anybody. I would then go and hunt the
So you
business
have the
out
freedom.
and give them the solution. So for each of
Because if you've got exclusivity, they've got you, haven't they?
the sealing solutions that you've got, though if we refer to that, you know, I had 7 or 8 manufacturers that I could give best practice to the customer, even though they've paid a consultant an exorbitant amount of money to deliver what their understanding of it was. By the time it comes through the main contractor who's looking to cut to budget because that's where he's going to make his money, and the subcontractors are going to do exactly the same. They all need to make their margins through the supply chain. Customer never really gets what he wants. You know, it may look good on the skin, but underneath it all.
And the thing is, price is a smokescreen, isn't it? They don't really mean it. They just don't want to get a bad deal. They want it competitive. They get it, don't they? They just say it because they don't want to pay the highest price. This is what I say to my staff. People says the number one requirement is the cheapest, but nobody wants the cheapest.
No.
Right? They just want a good deal. They don't want to get screwed. Am I right?
Absolutely right. And
And weak salespeople go for the cheapest.
And this is why, you know, adopting the policy that we did about becoming non-exclusive, we would then get in. We'd have training again from being a passionate sales guy. You've got to understand the product. You can't just go on paper. It's this. And when I was a kid, people used to call me Stato because I used to read, or Top Trumps. That was my nickname, right? So if you had Top Trumps cards, I would actually know every single number on the. And as the cards were coming down, I knew what was coming. I knew what was coming up against, and that's almost in a weird kind of way. And I've got goosebumps just saying it. Exactly. because it's
But
giving.
here's the thing: you invested time. You didn't switch off at 6 o'clock
No.
and go home. You invested time, right? And it's serving you now because you were committed.
20 million of my sales last year were through Saint-Gobain and Gyprock products. Okay, in 2007, when my daughter was born, and I was going through the 2-hour sleep periods, right? To keep myself awake, I was reading the White Book, which is the most boring book you'll ever read in your life, I tell you. But it gave me an understanding, and to this day, I still know exactly how many boards are needed for a 2-hour fire rating, for a 1-hour fire rating. So when I'm walking into consultants and they're saying, oh, we've been told, and in fact, the cinemas at the minute, which is a huge thing with the Saudi Investment Fund, you know, there's 800 screens they're going to be opening up in Saudi in the next 5 years. I've got all of the manufacturers' systems up here with the prices for each one of those systems. And I'm in a framework agreement with them at the minute, trying to work a framework agreement with them to run the distribution for one of the manufacturers.
Well, Al Hokair Group, which is the Saudi Arabia's biggest entertainment company, is my client, so I can introduce you.
Yeah, I'm doing a framework with MAF at the minute on Vox Cinemas. Yeah.
Amazing. So give me three key ingredients to being an entrepreneur, a successful entrepreneur.
Passion, obviously, and you've got to be able to take the knocks. You've got to know when to being positive, look at everything in a positive way, because it's never going to be easy. I don't know there's a secret really, it's just, you just got to know not
Were you born with it?
not to give up. I think it is in my DNA to a point, yeah. Because so many people haven't, known my story. Most of my customers, some of these guys are huge customers. They were like, we'd have given up, taken over. But one of the, I won't mention the names to protect the innocent, but one of the biggest construction companies in the UAE was the biggest, probably still is, if they ever actually really looked into it. 60,000 staff, and have now been had shares acquired by Sheikh Mohammed, so they're obviously planning how they're going to go past 2020. Wow. Their CEO, their MD, and the whole of their senior project team. The first time I went back in there after the PLC withdrew, they all made a point of coming into the office to see me.
Say hello.
Which I was like, wow, that's really humbling. You guys are, they're always in the top 10 in the construction awards, always. And top 3 even, So it narrows it down quite a bit. But, it's quite
because
humbling.
of those three reasons. And positivity, passion, yeah?
Exactly, and the fight. And they've said, we need to give Steve something. The amount of work he's done for us.
Do you know what I wrote down? You're very humble. You've had lows, haven't you?
I've learned to be humble.
Yeah. It's those downtimes that make you live in
I was
gratitude.
quite arrogant a while ago when I was on the top of the wave, the 180 million. I became quite arrogant at that point, and then I realised that I've built all that up with a brand name, with a company that was supporting me. It wasn't just me. I thought it was just me. It was, I did a lot. I contributed a lot, but it wasn't just me. And then
How low did it get? How low did it get? If you don't mind sharing it.
Yeah, no, it was very low. Yeah, I had savings in the UK, assets, and I got down to my last 500 dirhams. I couldn't even afford a ticket home.
I remember sleeping in the car in the UK, and I couldn't afford the engine to run.
Yeah, to keep
so I had
warm.
to keep warm.
Mm.
I had to switch it on, switch it off, switch it on,
Yeah.
switch it off. Because if I had it running all night, I would have no fuel in the morning.
No, I must admit, I never, and and the thing that drove me the most was my daughter. I didn't want to leave. I wasn't going to leave her. We're now separated, by the way, my ex-wife and I. And there's no way.
But I know your ex-wife, and she loves you as the father you are.
Yeah, I know. Thank you. Yeah, you told me that. And the fact that I wasn't going to leave my daughter and leave her in a situation. I had to just keep going. And it doesn't matter what your challenges are in your life, in your role or in your life, you've got to look for that beacon.
And it's beyond you, isn't it?
Of course
it's
it is.
about something else.
You know, not going to sound too kind of holistic, but I was out there, you know, walking the dog last night. Beautiful sky with loads of broken clouds, and full moon coming through the middle of the clouds. And I took a picture and I sent it to everybody, saying, "How do you interpret that? It's like the half glass
Didn't send it
full,
to me.
half empty." Sorry.
No, put me on your buddy list.
And it was like, you know, how do you interpret that? It's a beacon, it's a sign, it's another change coming through. However you want to interpret it, you know, it's like.
Yeah, but you decided to see the beauty of it.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Some people were saying, "Oh, summer's coming. Oh God, you know, it's going to rain. Cloud seeding." Yes, but you saw the beauty of it.
And that, yeah, exactly.
It's a
That
choice.
can make a change to somebody's day, you know. And when I'm going into the meeting with that person that I've sent that to 3 months down the line, you know, he's going to give me that extra 5 minutes. You know, he's going to say, or he's going to ask the question, "Why did you send that?" And it's like, I just got this feeling that I needed to share it with you. Were you going through a bad time? You know, I don't know. It just creates that extra layer again. I always say
It's emotion.
Yeah, because we're all emotional people. We're going through this evolution now where you have to take down the barriers. You've got to. There is a certain level of professionalism that you have to maintain. There's no doubt of that, because obviously that's where your respect and your integrity comes from. But then you can then take that
to close. You need to have to close deals. You need that
Absolutely.
professionalism,
Yeah.
right?
and then from that, then you can take the additional courses, which you know, there are some courses I've been lucky enough to attend that are game-changing courses. You know, negotiation courses that.
Do you still go on courses?
Yeah, I mean,
It's constant education.
I'm a sponge. You know, just anything I can learn in a day, whether it's on online learning with Lola because it's stuff I've forgotten, or how to close a deal commercially with 64-page, you know, document that come out of PLCs that don't want to pay you. You've got to find ways, because at the end of the day, it's all well and good selling stuff. If you're not going to get paid, it's not a sale until you're paid.
If you lose it all again today, how long would it take you to make it again? I know it's
a
exhausting.
good question. No,
I know it's exhausting, right? But it'll take me a month.
Yeah, no,
It'll take me a month.
I think I'd probably look at evolving it even further, because I've still got that energy. You wouldn't want to just turn around and say, "Okay, I'm going to replicate it again." I'd actually be asking, "What can I do better?"
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you know what I do? Being like a CEO, it's a lonely place.
Yeah.
So what I do is, whenever I go on appointments, I have an imaginary child of mine, one of the four, sitting next to me, and I pretend or imagine they're judging me, and they're viewing me, and they're monitoring me, and they'd be like, am I proud of my dad here, or would I be embarrassed? And if they say, "I'm proud of my dad, I've done a good job." So whether they're with me or not, I always make them judge me, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I want, my legacy is that my kids are proud of what their dad did, whether they're here or not. Yeah. So
Absolutely.
that beacon that you mentioned doesn't literally have to be with you all of the time. Yes. And that keeps me on the straight and narrow. Makes me do the good things, because I feel I'm being judged by my kids.
No, it's a great thing to do. I'm a firm believer that we're a byproduct of our parents.
Your kid's very smart though. She's very cheeky.
Yeah.
She's got a lot to say for herself.
Yeah, I don't know where she gets
very
that from.
confident. Yeah. She's gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
No.
entertaining. Where does she get that from?
Yeah, exactly.
Was it from you? Because your ex-wife's talkative, and she's.
Yeah, no, I mean, she's a very evolved soul.
Isn't she?
Yeah.
Amazing.
I mean, academically, both of us weren't the greatest, but we're very good at what we do. She's creative. That's her.
She was teaching me sales and marketing. In 2 minutes of meeting, she was teaching me sales and marketing. Did I tell you that?
No, she likes to tell.
Yeah. She was quite pissed off with me, actually, because I wasn't buying into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, your sales staff shouldn't be on mobile phones. And she was like, and they should. They're standing here for 8 hours. They should be on mobile phones. I was she was very, very adamant. I said, well, and I tried to explain, and I was going nowhere. So what if customers go by and they're on their mobile phone and they feel like interrupting them and everything? She didn't want to know. So okay, I'll quit. I walked off. And she must have right behind me going, asshole. I got that feeling. No, I'm just joking. But she was like, oh, old fart. She's an old soul. Very
definitely.
confident. Very, very confident.
No, as I say, I'm blessed with both the kids really, because as I say, they're, Brandon's my stepson, but he's obviously grown up from a young age with me as his mentor, his father.
How old is he?
He's 20 now.
Yeah. Wow. Speak to him all the time.
Back in London, God, yeah.
That's nice.
I speak to him as much as he allow me to speak to him. As any 20-year-old would do.
Yeah, they want to do their own thing.
He's like, no, sorry, Dad, I'm all weekend. I'm going to be. He won't tell me what he's up to until it's just the right time. Yeah, I was in Amsterdam. I was like, okay, that's why there was 48 hours radio silence.
You get to know what they want you to know.
Yeah, exactly. And they, kids grow older. They become more confident because of what. The barriers that we mentioned earlier. When we were growing up, there were certain barriers that the interaction between parents and kids wasn't there.
Yeah, you were just not. My parents weren't educated. I had to bring up kids. Yeah, there was no information so readily
there's
available.
No rule book. Exactly.
And their parents were even worse.
Yeah.
And then knowledge wasn't so easily achievable. Travel was so. I was 13 the first time I flew.
Yeah.
And it was a big thing, and I remember it was full of smoke. The cabin.
Yes.
Everybody
smoked on the planes. Yeah.
I could barely breathe. I think he went to the toilets to get away from the smoke. They just say whatever you do, don't smoke in the toilets. I'm like, try being in the 70s and 80s.
No, very true. Yeah.
Terrible. I remember
that's not that long ago.
When Tony Blair came, I think it was Tony Blair and said, stop smoking in public places. There was like a big revolution.
Yes.
Do you remember? And it was just the right thing to do. Do you remember in the UK? Everywhere shut on Sundays.
Yeah.
And opening hours were 9 to 6. It was like a big thing that if they're going to be open like 12, 24 hours, or big thing that they were going to have 7-day opening.
Oh, I still remember being typically British and expecting, as we are. I remember being here 18 months, right? We'd smashed the business to a point of acquisition. So the first business I came out here for was my own. Set it up, created it, acquired by the PLC in 18 months. Gone back to the UK to celebrate, and I actually flew in on a Sunday, which I never normally do.
Yes.
And flew in on a Sunday, and we've got into London at 1 o'clock. Get the hire car down to Paul by 4 o'clock. I'm like, yay! Lola's little one, dropped her with Nanny and said, "There you go, Nanny. I'm just going to go down the shops." I didn't even listen to her. She was saying stuff on the way out. I didn't even listen. I was just like, right, come on then, let's get down the shops. Let's go and get some champagne and, let's celebrate. And I get to all the stores are shut.
Yeah.
No, it's 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah, Sunday, 4 o'clock.
Do you remember in the UK there used to be a corner shop with an old lady working there? There was always I remember going.
Mrs. Lines.
You used to cycle to this corner shop, and there's this old woman, and he has a bell. Ding! You open it, and the back door's open. The husband's watching TV on a couch. She gets off the couch and comes and serves you a bag of Maltesers for 10 pence.
It was ridiculous, wasn't it? But wonderful. But you know what? The knowledge.
I loved it actually because she knew you.
She knew me. You're going to get into a subject that's really close to my heart now.
Yeah, say it.
My granddad. I want to make sure that as a parent I pass on knowledge transfer to my kids about my life. Okay, it's things that I've learned in my life. Whether they may switch off to it, they may be bored to it. And I had one of the best tutors. I was blessed with one of the best tutors. My granddad served in the Second World War. He did something he joined up. He didn't know he was going to end up going to war. Obviously when you join up there's a 50-50 chance.
Did you meet him?
Oh God, yeah. No, we were very close. And in the Second World War, he actually was missing in action in North Africa for 3 months. He got distinguished service orders. He got some really serious medals for having to get back. And
where did he go for 3 months?
In the desert. He was stuck in the desert.
Was it like in the bar or something?
No, there were no bars there. You had Cairo, and that was it.
Everything
and obviously the Germans went for that because they could drink.
Yeah, exactly.
They put their towels down first.
Wow,
But yeah,
so he went missing in action.
yeah,
Oh, he
missing
did-
action
yeah,
and
wow.
assumed dead and
By himself.
They were in a group. And they were attacked.
Wow.
And he was the only survivor. Yeah.
Did he share the story with you?
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
did
yeah,
he-
yeah.
No.
In a positive way, and I got him to thank for my positive mental attitude. You know what? Every story he told me about the war, right, and including that one, always had a positive slant on it. There was never any blood and guts or anything.
Victim mentality.
Yeah,
Poor me.
victim mentality. None of that at all. It was all positive, you know. And you know, he'd gone to war. His wife was 6 months pregnant. He never saw his kid, and then came out of the war. 45. Everybody's on their way, our boats home, and he's still missing in action and all this kind of stuff. It's like, wow. Never once said anything bad about it. At the end of the day, when I arrived, my wife was there. The Home Office had managed to get hold of her and let her know.
It's a
that,
real man, though, isn't it? That's a real man.
God, yeah. And then let's say the stories. I mean, towards the end, bless him. But every Saturday I was 25, 26, 27, 28. Every Saturday I would go and sit with him for 3 to 4 hours when everyone was in the pub. Because I want that whole knowledge transfer thing.
I think more parents should take them to old people's homes.
Yes, that interaction.
And also they need to share. They need to talk.
Because they won't believe it.
Yeah.
It would be like a story when you're 6, 7 or 8 and you're listening to, fairy stories. When you cast your eye back to when you were listening to that yourself, and you're like, wow, your mind opens up to imagination. All of those creative things that we no longer do. And creative thinking is one of my skills, because when
Thinking
I come
outside
to
the
having a
box.
solution, I come up with a solution because I've addressed the problem, and then I'm looking at I'm expanding my mind, and I'm sucking on the knowledge that I've had throughout my life to be able to give me, and obviously,
So give me 3
partners.
skills of a successful salesperson.
The win-win.
So it's not about me. It's making sure the client wins.
Yeah.
And of course, you win also.
Absolutely.
But if the client wins first, inevitably you will win.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, as
so
long as
that's
you don't
the
do it
first.
for nothing. Yeah.
Second and third.
But even then, as is the mentality here, the first deal's for nothing anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
But it doesn't have to be
Which is
for
wrong.
nothing.
Which is wrong. Because it's not adding enough value.
Absolutely right. Yeah,
You're just going on price.
See, and again, when I come back to that reference point of just using 4 areas, you can refer to it in whichever way you want, but ceiling, floor, and walls. I'll give the money away on the ceiling because I know I'm going to make it on the walls and the floor. And that's the overall deal.
Second and third skill.
Yeah.
What's the second and third skill? First one, win-win.
It has to be tenacity. Never accept no.
Yeah.
Never accept no.
Where does tenacity come from?
Part of it is your DNA, but again, it's your mentors, your training, everything else that you've had around you.
I think
positive
hunger.
people.
Hunger.
You've got to be hungry. Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah. If you're not hungry, you're not a salesman.
Exactly. You're satisfied. Why do you need to gain it?
Being out of the comfort zone, puts you in survival modes. All of those kind of things. When you say, well, I refer to the 12-foot wall again. If you can find a challenge like that every day, then I sleep very well.
Wow.
Because I've in my mind
Done the
I've
best you
closed,
can and yeah,
exactly. I've done the best I can. I've closed a few doors, made a few deals along the way. I've made people happy.
It's the best aphrodisiac, isn't it?
Yeah.
Closing deals.
Yeah, oh God, yeah. Now that is
Guys, best aphrodisiac. Close deals. Take it from me. I used to have hair. And the third skill.
has to be you as an individual, your character. Being able to get your character across to your...
So establish you can know you, know yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I consider...
That could be your values.
I've got
could
a
be your
brand.
positivity. Could be...
I consider myself as a brand now, in the way that I built, relationships, everything around the people that I work with. Even this weekend, Lola's birthday party, there's 10 mums come, 3 dads come. they're all walks of life, but I've got 6 guys that are in the construction and other businesses that
They become friends.
I've been advising on. There's a cross sell there straight away. I've created opportunities for friends, created a very big customer.
Yes.
Within 3 or 4 days. It's like, and he's actually.
And people think they gotta like socialize or get to know them for a year or 2 before they become friends, right?
Yeah.
And you can do it in 2-3 days.
And the funniest thing about that particular project, it's a $4 million project, right? The client is a client. So the investor is a client I already worked with previously. It was very late in payment, so I chose now, as it's my business, to say
to do business.
I don't want to do business on this project. And it's now coming down to the final 20%. The director of the cost consultants on the project are now saying,
We want you.
we need you. Not we want you, we need you. Because we're past the budget, we're not going to be able to get our clients' payments, we're not going to be able to open the store, only 40%, 48%
And you
of
can
the
pretty
store.
much name your price now, can't you?
Absolutely. Yeah, the front I'd have done it for 5%.
There's going to be a delay in actually broadcasting this. So hopefully they won't get to hear this before
No, I was
the
going to
deal's
say,
done.
please let me
Yeah,
see
we'll
what
have
you're
delayed
going
for a
to, let me
couple of
proof
weeks.
what you're
Yeah.
going to send out there, because there's
Yeah.
a lot of detail there. But at the front end, I'll be doing it for 5%.
Wow.
At the back end, I'm now doing it for 50% on my terms, my payment terms, not when you'll get paid when I
And
get
experience probably told you that was going to happen. So you probably predicted it.
paid.
You knew it was going to go wrong.
And intuition, and instinct, not intuition, and instinct. You say you base your when you get to closing the deals, there's a certain amount of reality there that makes you take it to the point where you say, well, that's the decision I'm going to make, and then your emotions come into it. How do I feel about it? Do I trust this guy? And then the emotive decision comes in. So I'd say probably 75% of it is fact based, 25% of it is emotional based.
And it could be based on experience.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. 75% is based on experience and your support, everything else. In the supply chain, your manufacturers, all that kind of stuff. So, am I giving a compliant solution to the customer, from a construction perspective?
Yes.
So, or am I just selling them a wall? I keep referring to walls, but there's a lot more to it than it seems. Trust me.
Sure.
So then you go, like, you grab the handle on that door as a confident man. When I go into a meeting, I'm like, I know I'm selling the right solution. If you're not willing to listen,
People don't invest in people who are not confident.
yeah, no, exactly. If you're not willing to
If
listen,
you have doubt,
I
if
can't
you're
take
not
you the
sure-
water and make you drink it. At the end of the day, I can advise you, and then if you're going to come back to me, then it's going to cost you more.
One of the questions I ask my guests is, if you had to move the clock forward 5 years, where would you be?
I'd still be here. Location-wise, I'd still be here.
Financially, position-wise, employment, shares, company, size of the business, client base? Would you be dealing internationally?
Yeah, I would be dealing internationally, definitely. Yeah, the base is strong enough to sustain growth across the Middle East. I've done it. I've been lucky enough to learn it with the PLC, so now I could do it myself. So, because the PLC started off in Dubai and went to Oman, Qatar, Saudi. So I've already been given that training, effectively how to form companies there, what to avoid them, what's the best way to do it, because you always improve. So internationally, I would look to grow the business. Personally, I want to look at future-proofing the business. So I'm passing down. I can't contain this experience and not pass it on. I've got to be able to pass it on. I've got to find a way to make it. Find the right people. I'm a great believer in investing in people. You've got to find the right people.
We had a chat about kind of like, you maybe write a book or educate people.
Yeah, no, I've already got the first 2 chapters of the book, so
Amazing.
started it. Need to discipline myself to find the time to keep adding to it. And find a way to keep that passion and that fire alight, but at the same time passing down the experience and giving the same kind of energy within the business. I'm lucky enough that people who've worked with me, you look at me as a mentor. They call me Uncle Steve affectionately, so there's no better accolade.
Amazing. What about personally? Would you be in a relationship with someone? Are you interested? Do you have time?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I feel that there's a lot of love, in the room.
Feel it.
And I was single for quite a while after the divorce. That kind of made me learn to love myself.
Wow. If you don't love yourself, who's going to love you?
I didn't love myself before that, though. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
I didn't realise that
you were successful.
Yeah, exactly. I plunged everything into work.
Yeah, been there.
Yeah, and it was like, I'm just going to pull the blinkers over and just keep working because I'm good at that. Yeah.
Maybe subconsciously you were avoiding
Of
looking
course.
at yourself.
Yeah, you're just running away from it. Yeah. And then, when you do find, it's difficult to find the right relationship now because we're in a place where, there's so many different nationalities and cultures, and trying to, it's almost, I always refer to it as like the card game where you got the top and the bottom half of the body. Do you remember? Well,
trying to match it.
Yeah, we were kids, we used to play with those. You'd scatter them across the floor.
Yes, I remember one.
And you trying to remember the bottom half of the body and the top half of the body and match it up, because then it was easier to get into a relationship.
It was.
Nowadays
you know
people
what it
are
was?
more individual.
The old days, you had to work at it. And then if you worked at it, because you had to go to the local, whatever, bar or restaurant, meet someone. Here, today, you're a swipe to the left with a thumb or the right. So, and you could be, or I could be, on a list of dates. So today, I'm the guy. Tomorrow, she's got somebody else. Day after. What chance have you got?
When I went to my first sales course, they said to me, you've got to get the client's attention within the first 5 minutes.
Yes.
And I'm like, nowadays, how long do you think you get?
9 seconds.
30 seconds maximum. If you haven't got that client on board within 30 seconds, grab yourself a coffee and go. Yeah, it's as simple as that. First, what's the word? Impressions are everything.
Yes.
So,
Polish
be confident,
polish up.
get in there, get the point across.
Yes.
And it's funny because I actually did a discussion the other day on behalf of a learning centre that my daughter's at. They were saying we need to do a presentation for KHDA and the Ministry of Education, and they created this presentation, and it was like, this is the presentation behind, and I am so and so, and I am the CEO of this, and I'm doing this, and I'm doing that, and I'm like, you've lost the attention of the viewer immediately.
It was for them.
I said, I'll do this for you. So I stood up and I went, imagine if you were told your child couldn't go to school tomorrow. And because that happened to me in 2014. So I explained the situation that, my daughter's heavily dyslexic, and according to the KHDA regulations at the time, was not allowed to go back any more than 3 years. So she dropped off the statistics because they don't want bad statistics.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
as simple as that. And by the way, my name's Steve Day, and I advise for these guys because they need sound business advice. Everybody in the room stood up and said, "Thank you for sharing your personal." I've got everyone's attention.
Yeah,
just
you
saying.
felt it.
Imagine if.
And the story was from the heart.
It's real.
It's
Yeah,
real.
exactly. It's,
from the heart to the heart.
yeah, and it's something that and this is literally 3 days before they dropped the bomb about kids not being able to go to school now because of coronavirus and everything else. There are now probably hundreds of thousands of parents thinking exactly the same way now.
Yes.
What happens if we can't go back to school in April? And it's kind of relative how.
What's your opinion? By the way, 1 second. Thank you, Steve. What's going on with the stocks and shares? Let me explain to you. It's probably started at minus 13, probably about minus 11 now.
Minus 13, correct? And now it's about minus
It'll go to about 8 or 9.
Some stocks have plunged 30%.
Yeah, and I sold all my stock today. So, what's your opinion about the coronavirus? By the way, what's happening with the stocks and shares is huge today.
Yeah, of course.
Friggin' huge.
Yeah.
Right? Some people see it as disaster, but then some people are smart, they got cash, and they're going to buy some big stock now when it's cheap. I would say another 2 weeks. They're even going to drop by about 30-40% over the next 10 days or so. So if you got cash, it's a good time to buy solid stock like Microsoft and Amazon and stuff like that.
To answer your question in relation to the global economy,
Yes.
I think they're connected.
Yes, they are. I think so too. I think it's just a...
I think this is the worst act of terrorism
I think so too.
that could have
Global.
ever happened. Yeah.
The rich get richer, the powerful get more powerful.
I don't care how you go back to it, conspiracies, Rothschilds, however you want to play
Agree.
it. But this is too much of a... And coincidences are no such thing. Things happen for a reason.
And today, I think oil prices went down by 20%. How many countries, oil-producing countries, are totally screwed now? Selling oil at a loss. It costs them more to get it out of the ground than selling it. Who would have imagined, right?
Well, at the last oil crisis, you had same thing as stocks and shares. You had Saudi, because of the land expanse that they've got there, and the fact that they are the largest.
Give it away. Give it away.
No, they were buying it from the North Sea because of the cost of extraction in the North Sea
It's so expensive.
at $38 a barrel when it was actually in the market at $18 a barrel.
My God.
Because they said, okay, what you're going to shut down if we don't buy it from you, and we've got enough land, we can store it.
Yes.
It doesn't go off.
Yes.
You can reblend oil. So at the end of the day, they'll just keep it.
Keep the economy going, and then the...
Exactly right.
But today they decided to just kill the market, kill the Russian market, kill the American fracking market, everything.
But no, I mean, we could go on. this
Interesting
about
times
hours
ahead, bro.
because
Right?
no
Interesting
longer-
times.
Oil is not as powerful as it was.
No, I agree.
Lithium, when you look at the reason for Afghanistan war kicking off, because
It's lithium.
lithium was the most as far as the US were concerned, they were going to build electric cars. Who's the biggest miner of lithium? Afghanistan. Where are the biggest natural resources? Afghanistan. Whose LPG pipes, Russia's LPG pipes run through Afghanistan.
Wow.
So
Scary, isn't it? Scary.
You look at what's needed in, the way the world's going in the next 50 years, that's driving the economy.
The way I think is like, without being overly political, it's not too different about having like the triads, and you pay them to protect your shop. And if you stop paying them, they either come and damage your shop to teach you a lesson, or they leave it open for everybody else to come and screw your shop. So you end up needing them. And I think it's become a bit like that now. I'll pay you, I'll give you my contract, I'll look after you, I'll lose, just protect me and keep my base okay. Otherwise, you let other people in and the revolution will start and we lose everything and I'm out of a job, out of everything. So I think there's a lot of protectionism going, lots of bullying going on. It's
Corporate bullying. Having experienced it myself.
Yes.
I never thought it would actually happen, and I experienced it in a way that.
Imagine on a world scale.
Exactly, and I'm only an individual.
Yeah.
I'm not a company, a country. From a global perspective, it's ugly. It really is.
I honestly believe if you're going to short stock right now, because they're going to go down, you'll make money, and in about a month or so buy. Buy, they'll double. You'll double your money by the end of the year. We'll see. Man, it's an absolute honor having you here.
Oh, bless you.
And I hope you enjoyed it.
Loved it. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe I'll see you this time next year, and keep us in touch with your progress and your success. And I know you're doing amazing things for kids as well. That you are so humble and honest that you don't tell people. But I'm absolutely proud of you, what you're doing out there.
Thank you.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Take care.
Cheers.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. See you next week.